What's up, everyone? Happy day 5. Happy Friday. I hope you guys' week is going just super fantastic. You guys are all crushing it. Um, I love seeing a lot more posts. You guys are engaging. Things are great. So reach out if you guys have any questions on stuff. Hey, you're almost through the week. Mindset's been awesome. You guys are doing super, super well. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about tapping, which is my favorite tool. Those of you guys who have followed me for a little while know that I do tapping. I talk about tapping, and it's the biggest thing that I teach my students to get through their mental blocks and their mindsets, and it allows us to kind of shift a lot of things. So I'm just going to talk briefly about it today. If you guys want to learn more, though, like I've got links on my YouTube that go into a lot more detail. And of course, like, I teach my students and things too. So if that's something that's of interest, always reach out. But we're going to talk a little bit about tapping and how it can help you, how it can help your mindset this week. So basically, tapping is really beneficial for like dealing with PTSD and trauma. Anytime we have blockages or limited beliefs, it allows us to be able to shift perspectives up. So if we think about our bodies as a big energy circuit board, right? Anytime we have a trauma or a fear, a block that's, a belief that's holding us back, it's like as if one of the circuits in our energy system is clogged, right? So the synapses in our brain just aren't firing properly because of that trauma. And so what EFT is, it's like unplugging that circuit, cleaning it off, and then plugging it right back in. Okay. Oftentimes when I do tapping, I get like these little epiphanies, so it can, we can shift some big identities, right? So it's all about, we've talked already this week is, creating kind of that introspective, oh, really, that's interesting. Starting to see these awarenesses, the self-awareness that's coming to light. Okay, well, what are my behavioral patterns? What am I, um, believing that's holding me back? What are my actions that are holding me back, right? Like that's why we're here to do this habit challenge, is to change our habits. And so that kind of that next step in, well, now that I'm seeing this stuff, coming up, these things that are holding me back, this belief, this identity, what can I do? Right. And so that's where tapping comes in and actually allows us to change our perspective around those beliefs, and reconnect the synapses to where they're firing differently. So we're not getting so much anxiety around a certain, thing that's happened, or a certain belief or certain fear. And then we, in they talk about it in cognitive behavioral therapy as well. So we need to replace the narrative, right? So we go ahead and we identify what's going on, and that's perfect. That's the first step, and then we, tap on it, um, and then we create a new narrative. Like, oh, okay, well, if I don't have that belief anymore, what do I want to believe? What do I want to start to achieve? Then we replace that. Okay. There's also a lot of science that's coming out about it that's really cool. So if you guys want to Google some stuff, like EFT tapping, um, a lot of cool stuff coming out. So even just from a stress reduction standpoint, it reduces cortisol up to, I think, 14%. Sorry, 24% in an hour, more than anything else. So cortisol is our stress hormone, right? So it causes us to store fat and things like that. It's also like our fight or flight. It gets triggered, right? So when we're doing tapping, you guys will notice, like any of you who, I know some of you have already done tapping with me, so you see the benefits, you understand how it helps, and you feel it. Sometimes it's like, well, I don't really know what it's doing or why it works or how it works. I just feel better, right? And so that was actually what got me into it. Now there's more science behind, actual studies coming out, which is cool. Again, I talked about it being really good for PTSD, and they're studying it a lot more with veterans and things like that. I used it personally to get over PTSD from a really abusive marriage, where there was a lot of gaslighting, a lot of stuff. And so that was a big part of my journey, why I started really embracing this tool, and now helping other people to work through, childhood traumas and different things as well. It's really important we start to ask those questions, right? So when we identify the pattern of kind of what our behaviors are showing up as, the habits that aren't necessarily good for our overall goals, right? But they become the identity for us. Um, when we can start to ask those questions, well, why am I doing this? Why am I avoiding things? What is it about this certain task or this certain area that I'm procrastinating on? Asking those questions will start to discover a lot more about why we behave the certain way we behave. And a lot of times, most often, we can refer it back to something in childhood where somebody made us feel a certain way that we didn't like, based off of, or associated with a certain thing, right? It could be associated with food, it could be associated with money. But then we decided we didn't want to feel that way anymore. So then all of our actions are to try and protect that emotional response. So then we don't have that scenario. So then we avoid a lot of things. But then that can show up later on as like procrastination. Well, we're avoiding this certain thing because it triggers this response from childhood that we're not even making the association with as an adult. So that's why we need to start questioning those things, and then using tapping as a tool to kind of move through that and push through that, forgive, our younger self, let go of all that animosity and all the, false beliefs that we're carrying with, then replacing them with, all right, well, who do I want to be? And the cool part is that, at any moment, if we're not really enjoying the patterns that we're in, great, well, let's change it. And sometimes things that are serving us or what we think are serving us now sometimes it's a survival mechanism that, we have to get through, right? Like we have to get through for survival. And sometimes we compartmentalize things, but then now that we're out of that situation, or we don't need to react in that certain way because we don't have to survive right now, we already made it through, right? So now we can go back through, and sometimes it's digging up the hard stuff and then being able to release them, so that way we're no longer stuck in that pattern. Okay, what I want you guys to do is just think of it a lot more simple. So we're not going to necessarily dig into all your stuff on this call. If you guys want to do that, set up a one-on-one with me, and we'll do some work together. But what I always teach my students in the first week is just simply getting used to the pattern of the tapping and kind of what, the sequence is. And then taking note on how your energy feels, how your mind feels, how your body feels. So the way it starts is like there's a setup statement. So we're not going to get into that today. That's when you start really digging into this is what I want to release. It's a little bit more advanced for this course. We're just going to do the kind of the basic. And it also kind of highlights a lot of the versatility around the tool as well. So basically what I want you guys to do is I want you to start on the eyebrow, on the orbital bone. So you start right in here. I take 2 fingers on my dominant hand. You'll start on your dominant side, and then we'll actually transition to the other side. Now you can do your non-dominant, you can do left, right, a little combination. I know some people do like both together. I wasn't taught that way. I don't feel the need to do that. But whatever, I always tell students, like, follow the energy of what you feel to do, right? And if you end up skipping a point, no big deal. Maybe you didn't need to hit that point in this sequence and just continue further. So we start here and we tap about 5 to 7 times. Then the second one is right on the outside, still on the orbital bone. And then third one underneath the eye, also still on the orbital bone. And then underneath the nose and above the lip, underneath the bottom lip and above the chin. And then we'll move on to the inside of the collarbone, right there where that point meets. And then we'll go underneath the armpit, about on your first, second rib. So this one I'll use even just like 4 fingers and hit. You should have a little bit of a sore spot, and that's the point. Then we'll move on to the thumbnail bed. So my thumb's facing me, it's right there, right where my thumbnail meets the skin. And then I go same point on my forefinger, same point on my middle finger, skip the ring finger, and we go to the pinky finger. And then we just finish with the top of the head, taking a nice deep breath, blowing out, relaxing. Okay. And then, kind of taking a note of, all right, how does my body feel right now? We also can label kind of, all right, I'm feeling a little anxious, or I'm feeling whatever that is, emotional response or something, and then label it like, okay, well, how strong is this? How heavy is this emotion, or how strong is this belief system on a scale of 1 to 10, and then do a round of tapping and see if that same scale has gone down some. Okay, it's used mostly when we're identifying kind of in the second step of this, but start to see like, all right, well, how is my body feeling now? All right, I'm holding a little energy. Well, let's just do a round and just kind of breathe, right? Now, I will set an intention when I go ahead and do those rounds. So what I want you guys to do is like in incorporate this into your morning routine and into your nighttime routine, and start to see how your body feels. Okay, so that's your assignment, your task for the week. Film yourself or take a picture of you tapping. So you can get a couple points every day in doing this, or even just talk about how it's benefited you, what you've been noticing, right? So that'll count for points too. And just start to see, this is something that I've really started implementing too, just to kind of in my morning. So my intention is to just kind of clear my energy and get really focused and really, excited for the day. And what I do is kind of when I do my tapping, I'll just say like, I just want to clear whatever I need cleared, right? I just need to cleanse whatever I need cleansed. I'm going to release whatever needs to be released, right? I like to say shift. I'm going to shift whatever needs shifted, right? So I would just do that on every single point. I'm just going to shift whatever needs shifted, shift whatever needs shifted, right? And so on. And then take a nice deep breath, finish out, and see how you feel. Oftentimes I'll get just kind of like this rush of energy, kind of allow like, oh, wow, I had a little release. Sometimes you'll get a big yawn. Sometimes you'll cry. Sometimes you'll laugh. Different little responses all kind of let us know like, oh man, I just released something that needed to be released. Okay, so you guys can find whatever verbiage that is for you while you're doing your rounds of tapping, and just go one round through. Take a big breath, see how you feel. If you want to go another round, great, go for it. No need, just kind of see. And then so the sort of the underlying intention outside of just releasing whatever needs released in the morning is going to be, all right, like let's get ready for the day, let's really energize and let's stay focused and be happy, ready for the day. At the night, it's going to be the same as just release whatever needs to be released, but my intention is going to be more about sloughing off all the bullshit from the day, settling into the night, and just allowing myself to relax, let my mind relax, stress free, and just be ready to sleep, right? So yeah, guys, just take a note on that. Start incorporating that in. I mean, as you see, it takes like 10-15 seconds, right? It's really, really quick. It's also another way to kind of add in that mindfulness if you're feeling really stressed out. So, just like we were washing our hands if we're stressed, and just kind of breathing and imagining the water washing the stress away. You do the same thing, go to the bathroom, do a round of quick tapping and just breathing through, and, start to see how your body feels and see how you're releasing things. All right. Yeah, guys, you're all crushing it. So, let me know, keep reaching out, see how things feel. And I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.